Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would talk a little bit about my CNA experience, and I know I have posted extensively about it, but I feel like I've only touched here and there and never really went fully in depth of like why I don't recommend my program and how I got my job and like what hours I worked, so I thought it'd be kind of good to go into that. So first of all, I'll explain why I chose CNA when there are so many other forms of patient care experience. So essentially, I never had any experience in like bedside manner, which I know a lot of people don't when they first start, but I knew that that was something that I wanted to work on because that's something I want to have, I want to have good bedside manner when I'm a provider. So I thought, okay, I can learn like the medical knowledge through school, scribing, MA, those kind of roles. If I want to pursue that later, I can pursue that to learn more of like the medical knowledge and the charting in that form of it. But bedside manner, you just kind of have to be thrown into it. And I thought CNA was a really great experience, especially in a nursing home. I know a lot of people recommend to go to hospital jobs. I like the nursing home mostly because I was able to have the same residents over and over, so I really was able to build rapport with them and kind of get to see them on their best days and their worst days. So I think that helped a lot with building strong bedside manner and how to communicate, effectively to make sure that they're getting the care they need, but also with empathy. CNA was definitely out of my comfort zone. I've never worked with the elderly population before. I've never really worked with like sickly people or, there were really lonely people. So I did not know how to communicate that. I did not know how to communicate with people who were having those hard times, and that's something I really struggled with, in my own personal life. So I thought that that would push me out of my comfort zone and be able to get that experience for when I become a provider. So I'll talk a little bit about my training, because I always say I don't recommend my training, and I don't. It was a very specific program, so I don't even think you even live in the area to go to this program. But it was kind of like a workforce development type of program, so they had a lot of professional aspects into it, which was good, but then they also kind of treated us like children, because a lot of the people that were in there, were having trouble getting a job or keeping a job, so they kind of treated them a little bit like children. And so it was a little frustrating to be in that environment because they kind of expected the least from us. So, going to school and, expecting the most from myself, it was frustrating to be in that environment. It was also 2 months long, which I know like EMT training and like MA, obviously you want longer because you do a lot, but as a CNA, a lot of it's common sense, to be honest with you. And the skills, if you watch the YouTube videos and practice them at home, they're really not that hard. I think you just learn mostly on job. So my program was 2 months long, and we went to, we had like in-classroom training about 3 times a week, which are like 5 hours each, which I think was just way too much in my opinion. And then we had clinicals every weekend, and that was good to have a lot of clinical hours, so you got the experience before you went and got your job. But I think a lot of it was just unnecessary. Like we had interview practice and stuff, which was helpful, but it wasn't very structured. It was just, it wasn't very good, but I don't think you'll have to deal with that. I would look at your like local community colleges, or the Red Cross has a good program. My friend even took like a 21-day like all weekend program, and that was perfect. And he and I came out of the CNA training like the same competency. So I think for CNA you can kind of take those shorter classes and not have to worry about them not really preparing you to be a CNA. I think it's pretty easy to do in a short amount of time. So for my first job, I actually did not want to work as a CNA. I was actually trying to get a PTA job and just not do CNA. And I didn't get that job because of like the hours and schooling. So my friend recommended to me that I should apply at his facility. So I did, walked in, same day interview, got hired, started orientation like the next day. So it was kind of like boom, boom, boom. So I went from thinking I wasn't going to do CNA and like really happy about not having to do CNA because it's a lot of work, to do PTA'd, and then to instantly going full-time working CNA. So I did the PM shift first, so that was the 2:30 to 10:30 shift. I liked it. It was during summer. The only thing that I really didn't like is, since I was still in like the college area and I wasn't home, a lot of my friends were gone, and then my roommate, who I spent most of my time with, would work from like 8 in the morning to 2. So by the time she got home, I was leaving, and then by the time I got home, she was asleep. So I will admit it was a really lonely summer. I would say FOMO, but I think it was more than that. I would come home with like full panic attacks of just the same, repetition and not being able to see friends and not living a normal life. So I think that shift wasn't great for me. in terms of like social life and outside personal life, but I really liked the PM shift. So for the PM shift, you had to come in at 2:30, and then basically you would change everybody your first round, and then you would help get people ready for dinner. The place I worked at was a lot different from homes I've seen. We actually would get up majority of our patients or residents and take them to a dining room for dinner versus taking the dinner to them. So I think that's really great for the residents because they were able to get up and every day they had something to look forward to. But as working as a CNA, that was a lot because you had to make sure you get everyone changed before they get up. You have to get them dressed. You have to make sure, you know, everyone's safe and, you know, put them in certain areas and just watch over them until dinner starts. So it was a lot of work. But I really did like that they did that because a lot of times, you know, they just put the food on their lap and they stay in bed all day. So then after dinner, we would put everybody back to bed. We would get them into nightgowns, get them changed. So that would be kind of hectic. And then I went on my lunch. And then when I came back from dinner, we would change them all again. And, you know, the last hour was kind of slow, just helping people get to bed when they needed. Then the following summer, so I decided not to work during the school year because I was taking a lot of science classes and I really wanted to build my GPA, and I knew that patient care experience could be built later on, and GPA is very hard to fix, as I'm sure all of us know. So I wanted to focus on GPA, so I didn't work until the following summer. And then when I came back, they had enough AM and PM shifts, so they offered me the knock shift. And at first I was like, nope, I can't do that. Like, are you crazy? Like, me staying up all night, like, that will ruin my sleep schedule. I can't do this. And then after thinking about it and looking at other like CNA opportunities in my area, and just none of them, you know, were close enough to home or whatever, I decided, okay, I'll take the knock shift. I was really reluctant and I didn't want to do it. In the first like 3 nights, I think I complained so much to my mom. I was like, I can't, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm tired. I can't do this. And then after about a week of doing it, I loved it. I loved it. So the night shift was so much different than any other shift. I think it was the people that were working were very different. Everyone was kind of quiet and kept to themselves, which I'm okay with because I'm more of an introvert, so I didn't mind that. I was able to get stuff done. But the beginning of the shift would be absolutely hectic because a lot of the PM shift people weren't able to get everything done and put everybody to bed. So the first part would be just hectic, putting everyone to bed, changing everyone, and then you'd get done at about midnight. And then you'd have to do rounds of some vitals on people, and that was the most uncomfortable part, was changing people, waking them up to do vitals and whatnot, because, you know, when you're sleeping you don't want to be woken up, but also you don't want to lay in a bed where you're, you know, you use the restroom, so you want to, it was a hard balance of trying to, you know, because some of them would deny it and would fight you, and you just kind of have to be really empathetic and say, like, I understand that you're tired, we just want to make sure you're dry, you know. And it was a battle, especially someone who doesn't like to bug people. I don't like to bother people. It really pushed me out of my comfort zone, but I finally figured out a way where, you know, some people like to be just woken up and just go for it, or some people you kind of had to go a little bit slower. So that was an interesting part of the night shift. But then after lunch, or I guess lunch, we ate at 3 in the morning. So I'd bring full on meals at 3 in the morning because my sleep schedule and eating schedule was just, whew. But after my breakfast, lunch, we would just go and change people. I had some dialysis patients, so I had to wake them up and get them ready early. And then at about 5:36, we would wake up 5 of our patients. So they had a list of people who like to wake up early, and we would go completely, like, get them ready, get them dressed, do their hair. We would take the sheets off their beds so they could be changed that day. So that was hectic, trying to get all that done, and then you had to go and change everyone one last time, clean up the trash. So the beginning of the shift and the end of the shifts, for no matter what, were always completely just chaotic. However, one thing I really liked about knock shift was that I was able to have a social life. So I would come home, I would get done about 6:30, and then I would go to sleep from about 7 in the morning to 12 or 1. I can function off not that much sleep, so I'm lucky. So I'd get up about 12 or 1 depending, you know, and then I would have from 1, you know, lunchtime until probably try to get home about like 6. So I'd have like that amount of time with my friends to go out to dinner and, you know, to be social, to go to the beach, whatever it is. And then I would try to get home, prepare dinner, and then just kind of lay in bed for a little bit. And I would take like a 30-minute nap at about 8, 9, and then I would go to work. So it's a really weird time schedule, but once I figured out what worked for me, I really, really liked it. I wasn't depressed like I was the first summer that I worked. It just flowed a lot better. But yeah, that was my experience as a CNA. I got about 1,000 hours from both summers. I just worked full time, you know, didn't take any time off. But yeah, I really am appreciative of my experience. Like I said, it taught me so much about bedside manner that I think not a lot of other patient care experiences will help you with. I'm not bashing any other ones. I think that one's, you're just with the patient so much and you're not just like transporting them, or you're not just seeing them while scribing. So you really get that contact and build that rapport with people and learn how to talk to people throughout, you know, a whole time of you working there. Hospital CNA is a little bit different because obviously patients come and go, but they also build a lot of rapport. But if you're looking for an experience that will push you to your comfort zone in terms of what you physically do, because you see a lot. Let me tell you, you see a lot. I'm going to do a video on like stories that I saw as a CNA, but it really prepares you for the medical field, because after this, nothing is like a shock anymore. You know, like nothing can surprise you anymore, which is good, at least in terms of like bodily fluid and all of that. So yeah, it teaches you a lot more than you probably want to know about some things, but I think it is just such a great experience, and I recommend any healthcare professional, not even pre-PA, like even like, you know, med, DO, all of that, nursing, that is such a good experience because you learn so much. So if you have any questions about the whole CNA training, working experience, you know, hospital versus SNF, you can always ask me those questions. I'm more than willing and more than happy to answer them. So yeah, I know I didn't work as a, you know, for a super long time as a CNA, but I definitely was able to, I worked some morning shifts even, so I worked all 3 shifts, and I got experience with all different kind of patients and all different kinds of experiences within a SNF as a CNA. So if you have any questions or you're thinking about going to CNA, you can always ask me. I'm here. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.